This is video 2 of the Simple Container series. It's the Azure Simple Containers in Azure. And we're going to take a Python-based microservice and deploy it as an Azure Container App. This video complements the Azure VM Scale Sketch video. And in that video, we deployed these very simple Flask microservices on VMs. And then we did a scale set to manage the VMs. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take that exact same microservice code. We're going to build it into a Docker container, push that Docker container into a container registry, and then deploy it using Azure Container Apps. And so what we'll cover is we're going to deploy Azure Cosmos DB like we did with the scale set video. Same deployment there. Then we're going to containerize that same Python microservice using Docker. We're going to deploy an Azure Container Registry instance, push that Docker container that we built into the container registry, and then finally deploy the Azure Container App using that instance that we built. And so what we're going to be building here in the US Central region is we're going to build a ACR instance for the Flask app. When we build that, that's the first part of the build. The second part of the build is we're going to build this Flask app Docker image, push it into the container registry. And then finally, the third stage, we're going to create a container app. It's going to pull the registries from the Flask app container registry, and it's going to interact with the Cosmos DB database. The prerequisites: you need an Azure account. You need an AZ CLI. You need the latest Terraform. We're going to use Postman for testing. You need to install Docker to build Docker locally. Then these are some new areas specific to this project. You need that Microsoft.app provider. It must be enabled. I do enable that in the checkenv script. This sort of has shades of the API management that Google provides, but it is a Microsoft thing of providers. And then finally, because of that whole role thing that I described up here, you're going to have to make sure that you have the user access administrator role assigned to the build identity. Now, if this is the first time you're watching our content, you might want to start with this video, which is Azure plus Terraform Easy Setup. It just gives you a very simple project that deploys a single VM, so you can check that your account and everything is set up and is good to go. And the only other thing that I was going to do is take a quick detour and show you where this is in the user interface. The user access administrator. So if you go and do home and do subscriptions, and then click on your subscription and go to IAM access controls, you can see roles here. I have the user access administrator. This is the UI that you go in and you do add. But the checkenv script actually makes sure that it's there, but you may get an error when you run checkenv, in which case this is where you would add it in the console. Let's go to download the repository code. So I'm going to copy this here, and then I'm going to go to my Ubuntu environment, paste that in, and I can see I'm in there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run checkenv. And it's going to go through and make sure you have all the different environment variables you need to be set. Again, look at that original video of easy setup. It's going to register. It's going to make sure Microsoft app is currently registered, or that it's registered, and if not, it'll register it. And then it also checks to make sure you have the user access role. So at this point, what we can do is we can go and run the apply. But it's completed, and essentially one of the things you'll notice is it takes a while for this API to become available. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to grab this good to go URL and do some simple smoke testing. Go over here, and I've already done it, but I'll do it again, and you can see it's running. So the build succeeded. So the first thing you want to do is go to your resource groups, because everything's a resource group in Azure. So let's click on the Flask Container resource group, and you can see all the components that got built from the project. The first one is the container registry, the Flask app EE4DE2. Now, this goes to you are responsible for guaranteeing the uniqueness across all Azure clients. So you can see it uses Azure CR.io. You're responsible for that part, and there better not be a conflict. So what I did here is I just used part of my subscription ID. You can do random numbers, but whatever, you have to guarantee that this name is global across the Azure namespace. So then let's go to repositories. And you will see we have the Flask app. And there's the Flask app. One, you click on it, it gives you sort of the standard attributes associated, Docker pull. So it's all following the Docker interfaces. So let's go back to the resource group. And we've got the candidates table in here. And then we've got the managed identity, which is, we use that to assign to the Flask container app. And then we assign roles to the Flask container registry and the candidates table that allows that user identity associated with Flask container app to access do the ACR pull and to access the table. So let's look at the container app. And then the container app, let's go to revision. It has the URL that we've been accessing, the revisions and replicas. You see you've got instance running. This is where it's really nice for debugging purposes, where you want to go see the logs. In Kubernetes, these logs are just everywhere. If you don't have Grafana or something else installed to collect the logs, it's rooting around in a dumpster is how I often describe it. And so I can go say, okay, give me the log stream for the container. And it goes and it gets the startup container. All right, so we're going to go back to the where we built the project and run validate again. And it's going to give me the good to go endpoint. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to copy that and I'm bring up Postman and say, all right, let's go to the good to go. And you say it worked. That's the first endpoint. The next one is candidates. And you can see there's only John Smith. Then there's a candidate endpoint, which is a get. I'm going to say John %20 Smith. And it's going to show me that. And then there's a post. This is the fourth endpoint. And I'm going to say homie. And I'm going to send that. It's going to give me homie. Now, if I go back to get, you will see, and I do candidates. You can see I got both of them. So those are the 4 endpoints that proves that it actually works. And so what I'm going to do now, and I'm going to do destroy sh.